Oh, welcome to Ole Walls House. It's me. It's your man. It's your main man. It's Ole Walls, and I'm back again. Episode 177 about to come your way. Got a fun show here today. We're going to talk some golf. We have Charles Schwab, some Guardians, some NBA and NHL playoffs. We have my passing thoughts. I saw myself a movie today. A big movie. Big, long movie. A lot going on in that movie. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about all those things. But first, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate all the watches, the listens. So thank you. If you could, please comment, subscribe, rate, review, share, let people know about Ole Walls House. Let them know it's the place to be. And don't forget to let them know about the Full Range podcast by my guy MJ. You can find him on the Full Range podcast on Spotify or on the Ole Walls House YouTube channel. You can find my show on both Spotify and YouTube, as well as Apple Pods and Amazon Pods as well. So don't want to dilly-dally around any further. Let's just get into the show. All right, let's talk a little golf for the week. The Charles Schwab Challenge. Feels like it should be the Charles Schwab Cup. Colonial Country Club, that is. Ben Griffin is your winner. Ben Griffin, his second win on tour kind of this year. He also won the team event with Andrew Novak. Excuse me. In a real rock fight, if you will, of a Sunday. Wind picked up, course dried out, and he was able to hold on. Wins by one. It was essentially two because that Matty Schmid, I believe, chipped in on 18. I had kind of turned away. Matty Schmid, up and down round. I mean, one over out front with three birdies. Made three birdies on the back nine to shoot one over, so two over total. Buddy Boo did not make a lot of pars for the day. Just two on the back nine and just three on the front nine. That was a pretty wild day. Ben Griffin got out to a real hot start, goes eagle birdie to start the day, and then just makes four bogeys coming in throughout the rest of the round. But that was enough to win by one, get his first solo victory on tour, and flying his way up the Ryder Cup rankings on the U.S. side on a team that doesn't have a lot of people standing out. He moves up to 13th now, just behind Pat Cantlay. His buddy Andrew Novak, who he won the Zurich with, is up to 8th. He passes Matt McNeely. So, I mean, those two guys are trending to get themselves involved. Top 6 remains pretty much unchanged as it has for most of the year. Scotty, Xander, Bryson, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Russell Henley. Then you have Harris English, who's been showing some better form and seems to be a course fit for Bethpage. Andrew Novak, Matt McNeely, Brian Harmon, JJ Spawn, Pat Cantlay, not the sophomore sensation, Ben Griffin, Daniel Berger, Tony Finau, Tom Hoagie, Lucas Glover, Keegan Bradley. It's starting to get a little more shape to it. We're still a long ways away and a lot of golf to play. But back to the Charles Schwab, the guy who really had it going for a while was Bud Cauley. Makes a turn in 4 under. Birdie's the par 5 11th before a double on the 13th. Really knocks him out of it. I mean, just makes par there. And, coming down the stretch, he's within 1. Scotty, not his best, but he flew up the leaderboard on Saturday with a 64. 69 again in tough conditions on Sunday. I mean, if you look at the guys who shot something sub 70, it's not a lot of people in that back half, and 10 plus, 10 to 15 guys really in that back half of, the top 30, really. I mean, it was kind of a tougher day out there at Colonial, and it's not that Colonial is like the toughest course that they play, but the weather kind of came up. So your top 5 for the week: Ben Griffin, Matty Schmid, Bud Cauley. I believe Bud Cauley got himself into the Memorial. Ben Griffin obviously is in the Memorial now. I don't know if Matty Schmid did or not. Let me see if I can find the Aon Swing 5. Let's see who. Let's see if it's easily findable. Well, that's the next 10. Swing 5, the top 5 earners in the Memorial. Matty Schmid, Ryan Fox, Bud Cauley, Harry Higgs finding himself into there. And then Mackenzie Hughes. And then the Aon next 10 are the top 10 FedEx Cup points earners through the Charles Schwab Challenge will earn spots in Memorial. Ben Griffin, Andrew Novak, Harris English, JJ Spawn, Matt McNeely, Daniel Berger, Justin Rose, Michael Kim, Jacob Bridgman, Nick Taylor slotting himself in there. Lucas Glover finds himself on the outside looking in. Many people had some hopes for Jordan Spieth to do something, myself included. I picked him in my one and done pool. Got to pick 2 guys every week. I picked Novak, and I also picked Spieth. Kind of a tough day for Spieth. 1 over on Sunday. Again, tougher day out there. 69, 71, 67, 71. Would love to see Spieth start playing better. Would love to see him, work his way up towards the Ryder Cup. Could use a guy that's, playing well of his caliber. If he can find something, if he's even remotely the guy he used to be. I don't know that he is. He's in 31st. He just passed his old buddy Pat Reed to kind of sneak his way back up there. So who knows? Just another note. I mean, Tommy Fleetwood, moves up 6 spots to get a top 5 on Sunday without ever being competitive. Makes sense. Sounds about right. And no other, notables. Bob McIntyre didn't have his best stuff. Gary Woodland with a Sunday 66 really flew up the leaderboard. 32 spots. Andrew Novak, previously mentioned, he had a rough Sunday, 1 over, dropped a few spots himself, but wasn't the greatest field. Ricky Fowler, who was in the final group, because I think they were playing in threesomes, shoots a 4 over, just totally indicative of his golf game, it seems like right now. Like there's stretches of it where it seems okay, and then it just can't finish, can't close the deal, can't get himself involved. Just never a factor, never a real factor after a 64, 67. Just completely ejected himself after 3 bogeys on the front 9, and then doubles the par 5 11th, and just, like I said, never a factor at all. Odd sighting here. Webb Simpson climbs up the leaderboard. A couple of Saturday and Sunday weekend 69s. Finds himself up there. So not a ton to say here about the Charles Schwab Cup. We got a fun stretch coming up on the PGA Tour, though. We have Memorial coming up this weekend. Then we have the Canadian Open, which can be fun. You usually get a decent field there for not being one of the elevated events. And then we have the U.S. Open, and then the Travelers. So, 3 of 4 weeks are elevated adventure majors with the Canadian Open mixed in there, which, like I said, has provided some good theater in the last couple of years. I think we're going to learn a lot about what we're thinking going into the U.S. Open here at Memorial, see who some of the top guys play again, see what kind of form they have. I think Rory is skipping Memorial and playing the Canadian Open, and then the U.S. Open, and then I believe he always plays Travelers no matter what. So, and with Travelers being an elevated, those guys, I don't think I don't think there's like a limit of how many they can miss now. Like for a couple of years, I think they could only miss 1. But Rory, did skip a couple of 1 year. But I think he goes to Travelers no matter what. And I don't think there is that rule anymore. So we're going to see a lot of fun golf in the next, month or so from May 29th on through Travelers that ends on June 22nd. So what's that? About 26, 25 days worth of, a lot of stretch in there with some really, really fun high level golf. So exciting little stretch in the schedule before there gets to be kind of a weird spot before you get to the British where, you're doing Rocket Mortgage, John Deere, then you have the Scottish Open. There's the Reno Tahoe Open. I don't even know what the ISCO Championship is. What's it? Hurstbourne Country Club before you get to the British Open. And then you get, a couple of the 3M and the Wyndham before you find yourself in the playoffs. So this is like our last really good stretch of golf outside of, the majors. And then, the playoffs are, take them take them for what they are. They're not my favorite thing in the world, but it gives you all the best guys. At least it's not the golf I'm dying to see, but it's better than nothing, and it won't be long. I mean, the Tour Championship is August 21st through August 24th. I mean, that's only 3 short months away, and the golf will pretty much be out of our souls, out of our lives, and after that in the Ryder Cup. So, let's enjoy this next month or so of golf, and we'll look back fondly on the Sundays when we had golf on before we get to that weird stretch in late summer before we find some football in our lives. Cleveland Guardians. It was all in all a successful week, I would have to say. A very successful week. After some rain issues, only ended up playing 2 games with the Twins, but split them. Lose the first by just a run. Then kind of take it to them on Wednesday, 5-1. And then we get 3 of 4 from the division leading Tigers. About as good as you could ask for. Score some runs, 7-3-7 in the wins. Get blanked yesterday. Got Scoobled. Tarek Skubal put together a complete game. Shutout. I think 2 hits. Yep, 2 hits from Cleveland. That's, I think, 13 strikeouts from Skubal. Yeah, 13 strikeouts, 2 hits, 9 innings, no earned runs, no walks. Like, if you're going to run into that, I mean, it's tough. Like, that's just the way it goes sometimes. There's, it's 50 games you're going to win, 50 games you're going to lose, and it's what you do with the rest of them is what makes your season. That was one of the 50 you're going to lose. Just that happens. You run into a buzzsaw, a guy who is, a Cy Young contender. It happens. It's just the way it goes. Sometimes you run into a stud. And that's what happened, and you got to live with it. So, but all in all, good week. 4-2, made up some ground on the Tigers. We're down as many as 6 games going into that series. Got it back down to 4. Keeping it manageable. Don't want to let it get too far out of control. Game up on the Royals for the last wild card spot. The Cleveland holds the top wild card spot just over Minnesota. The 3 AL Central teams making up the wild card, other than the Tigers leading the division. And then, a game and a half over the Astros, and then 2 games over Tampa Bay, 2.5 over Boston, 3 over Texas. So a little breathing room there. Don't want to bank on the wild card. Want to go get that division. But that was a good week. A good week with a tougher week coming here. The Dodgers coming to town. Obviously, Dodgers playing pretty well. Been on not their greatest, last 10, 4-6 in their last 10. So maybe Cleveland could steal a couple here. They're hosting. LA's got to come to us. Play tonight, tomorrow, and then a matinee, if you will, on Wednesday before the Angels come to town as well. Angels not as tough as the Dodgers, obviously, but not a slouch. Just a couple games under 500. They're only 4 back in their division, so still a very competitive team. I mean, it's not the dregs of the league like a Baltimore or Chicago or a Denver or anything like that. So, couple California teams got to come into Cleveland before the week's over, and then Yankees the following week. But some good things been going on in Cleveland. Jose Ramirez playing well. Up to 9 home runs, 26 ribbies. His batting average has flown up. He's batting .309. Obviously, I've said this before. I'll say it again. This team goes as Jose goes. So if we can get good stuff out of Jose, that's awesome. I mean, second on the team in home runs, RBIs, and doubles. Second in batting average, like second across the board, just about everything. On base is anybody got a better on base? Just the Quanster. His slugging, I'd have to imagine he leads the team in slugging by a pretty fair amount. And then his OPS, no one bests him there. So, I mean, he's the best player on the team. He's proven that. Cal Manzardo's still providing some power at the plate, leading the team in homers and RBIs. But Carlos Santana, after a slow start, has started to give some run production. He's pulling in 27 walks. He's tied with Manzardo with 27 RBIs for the year. Gabriel Arias, a guy I kind of, highlighted before. His batting average has slipped a little bit. I don't think it's been the greatest stretch for him. He's down to bat in 232, but he's still driving in some runs. He's got 20 RBIs on the year, so not bad. Not bad. Daniel Schneemann is finding himself in more and more games. It feels like every time I turn it on, it feels like he's finding himself in more and more games. Lane Thomas is back off injury, so hopefully we can get him right and find some production out of him. Get another bat in the lineup. So there's that. Now, obviously, there was bad news. Ben Lively is going to be out for the rest of the year now. He had an injury. But on the bright side, this coming Saturday, Shane Bieber making his first rehab start. It's Saturday in the Arizona Complex League. I don't know what that's going to mean for a timeline for him, but obviously he's going to start there, probably go to single or double, probably AAA a little bit too. I don't know how that all plays out, but it's a start. It's where we're getting started. We're going to start in that complex league. We're going to move up in the double and triple and single and double and AAA. I don't know exactly when that brings him back. Some of the stuff I've read is maybe end of June, early July. Maybe they hold him till after the All-Star break, but getting an arm like his back in the lineup would be good, especially with Lively out. Lively wasn't, having a career year by any stretch, an all-star year or anything like that, but 3.22 ERA, one of the lowest on the team across all the pitchers. I don't think a starter has a better ERA than him. Tanner Bibes is 3.57. Just looking at the starters here. Gavin Williams, who's actually been pretty solid for us, has got his under 4 now, 3.94. But Ben Light, that was a guy who started 9 games for us. Gave us 44 innings across those 9 games, almost five a game, which is kind of what you're looking for. Get through 5 with, the guys you got in the back end. So that'll be a little blow. I don't know where they turn to. Obviously, they've got Luis Ortiz, Gavin Williams, Tanner Bibee, Logan Allen have kind of been the other guys who've rounded out that starting lineup. I don't know. They've that Slade. Where is he at? Slade Chicani has started a game. I don't know if anybody else has. Let me scroll down here. Doug Nikazi has also started a game. He's got a nice ERA of 18. I don't even think he's on the roster right now. So they're going to have to find somebody else to give them, another arm to start. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. If we can just hold on, hopefully maybe get something out of Bieber when he comes back, that would be sweet. I don't know what the likelihood that he's the guy that was, 12 scoreless innings last year when he got hurt. But if, you get 80% of that back, that's a great addition to the starting line rotation here. So, I'm optimistic where Cleveland's at right now. Obviously, we don't need any more injuries, but if Jose can keep producing, we can get something out of Carlos Santana. Maybe Lane Thomas finds a little form. Manzardo keeps producing with some power. We could be all right. And it feels like this hasn't been the greatest start ever. And Cleveland's right there. They're in the playoffs right now. They're in the hunt for the division. I think things are going all right. So let's see if we can do something with the Dodgers and the Angels this week. And hopefully, just keep the ball rolling. Just keep stacking some wins, stack some series wins, and see if we can keep the car headed in the right direction. Let's talk a little playoffs. Let's start in the NHL. After a very fun first round with 2 game sevens, the second round only gave us one. The Florida Panthers taking out Toronto, and now the Florida Panthers in the Eastern Conference Finals are just dominating the Carolina Hurricanes. They're going for the sweep tonight, so our attention turns west. Go west, young man. Dallas Stars are trailing 2-1 against the Edmonton Oilers, who will host the Stars in Game 5 tomorrow, which is Tuesday when this pod will come out. So love to see that series kind of, become a little more interesting with the Panthers looking to close out the Hurricanes early. So see if we can get a little drama out of the West and get a little something before we get to the finals here. I don't know when the finals would start. Does it tell me? It doesn't tell me dates on either of these websites. Okay. What if I click playoff format? Nope, sure doesn't. So, yeah, that's what I got for the NHL so far. Over in the NBA, a couple teams jumped out to 2-0 leads, the Thunder and the Pacers. But alas, both teams have fought back. The Timberwolves win Game 3. They host Game 4 today on Monday. And then the Knicks are back tomorrow after coming back from 20-plus points down after they had given up a 20-plus point lead. These NBA playoffs have been quite the thing. In the 2025 playoffs, there have been 6 20-point comebacks. In the 2020 to 2024 playoffs combined, there were only 6 then. This is the most 20-point comebacks in any playoff since 1998, which is the what they're calling the play-by-play stat-keeping era. So, the Timberwolves have a little easier task. They're home tonight in Game 4, looking to, even up the series where the Knicks got to do it again on the road. But, man, if, obviously both teams tying it back up 2-2, Timberwolves would have won both games at home. Whereas the Knicks, you win another road game tied up 2-2, then you're going back home for game 5. I can't speak. I can't think. Tied up in Game 4, 2-2. You're going back home for Game 5, where the Timberwolves have to flip around and go right back to Oklahoma City, where they'd already lost the first 2. A little bit different dynamic. It depends what you think. Like if you're the Knicks, you're like, hey, now they got to come back here. Hey, we lost here before, but like we're back at home. You're the Timberwolves, you're thinking, hey, we get this one at home like we're supposed to. Then we go back on the road. We kind of flip it around. We get the mindset. We change it up. So very interesting. I'd love to see both of the teams down. Obviously, I've staked my claim to the Knicks, so I'm kind of, slightly invested in them and want to see them do it. But would love to see the Timberwolves do it too and push these series out. Just give something else. We're approaching the dog days of summer where there's not a lot going on. Let's push these out as best we can. So, so games 4 today and tomorrow. Games 5 would be Wednesday and Thursday. Game 6 Friday and Saturday, and then games 7 would both be Sunday then Monday. So we'll likely have a resolution to both, if not, we'll for sure have a resolution to the Timberwolves Thunder series. And I would guess we probably likely have a resolution to the Knicks series. But if not, maybe your boy stays up late if it's a Eastern Conference Game 7 on Monday night and see it through to the end. So, let's keep this thing moving. Time for some passing thoughts. I apologize last week. I recorded a passing thoughts segment. Some of it you will hear again here today. I don't know what happened. The mic didn't sync up. I recorded it. I was watching myself do it. It's working, so I tested it again here to make sure we get it through here today. I don't know what happened. It just didn't go. It was just, I even considered, it was about a, 8 to 10 minute segment. I even considered just putting me in there talking with no sound coming out. And I was like, screw it. The episode's already an hour long. We'll just run with it. So I apologize for those of you who have told me in the past they wait for passing thoughts or they skip to it, and there was nothing there for them. So I'm sorry. So we'll have some stuff here. First off, Pete Rose, now eligible for the Hall of Fame. I believe him and Shoeless Joe Jackson banned from the 1919 Black Sox scandal, though many question whether or not he was on the take. I think he was on the, not that they question whether he was on the take, whether or not he was actually throwing the series based on his stats. I don't have all those in front of me. You can look into it. The bigger one to me, though, was Pete Rose. All-time hits leader in Major League Baseball. A guy who was banned for life from betting on baseball. I think that was a reasonable ban. you get caught betting on baseball. He claims it was only ever on his team, but still that it affects the way you probably call the game as a manager. But all that said, and again, I'm fine with him being banned from baseball, from managing, from being a part of it, from being included in a lot of the things. I didn't think that he should have been excluded from the Hall of Fame. You want to put an asterisk next to his Hall of Fame plaque, his bust, whatever it is. Haven't been to Cooperstown, actually. I've been to the NFL and NBA Hall of Fame, or not the NFL and the college, or in the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not NBA or college, just the Basketball Hall of Fame. But you want to put an asterisk next to it explaining, hey, he bet on baseball, he was banned, et cetera, yada, yada. I'm good with that. But the Hall of Fame should be an acknowledgement, a celebration of people who are exceptional at the sport. And Pete Rose was exceptional at the sport. He's obviously the all-time hits leader. Charlie Hustle, you can't tell the story of baseball without Pete Rose. And I think that's what should be the main criteria to people going in the Hall of Fame. It isn't the hall of good people and good guys and, charitable people. That's not what it is. If you want to start one of those, I'm all for it too. The Hall of Fame is about the best baseball players that you can't tell the story of baseball without, in my opinion. So I think he needs to go in. I think the sports writers need to get off their high horse and put him in. There's plenty of other guys out there, your Barry Bonds of the world, your Roger Clemens, the steroid guys. That was the game at the time. You can bitch and moan about it, but I think there's a pretty reasonable argument that everybody, looking back in hindsight, it's pretty obvious what was going on. There's probably a reasonable argument to be made that everybody knew it. Those guys need it too. So I think this is a good first step in making Pete Rose eligible. And it's the correct thing to do. I don't think right is necessarily the right word here, but correct. It's what should happen. You can't tell the story of the Major League Baseball without Pete Rose. Just a couple other things. These are, a couple of things I found, some quick stats and, little pieces of trivia nuggets while we're talking baseball here. Adam Dunn, a guy who had a peak that lasted for about 6-7 years here, where he was smashing the baseball. Coming out of the steroid era, but maintained it in through to 2010. So 2004, 46 homers. 05, 40 homers. 06, 40 homers. 07, 40 homers. 08, 40 homers. 09, 38. 2010, 38. I mean, there's not much else on either side of that. He was an absolute liability in the field. Struck out an absolute shitload. Would have fit in really well to today's game, but that's a wild run. And that guy was an absolute menace in MVP Baseball 03 in the Dynasty. He just kept getting better and better. I used to play with the Reds because I loved Ken Griffey Jr. They would age Griffey out and he'd slowly deteriorate. Not Adam Dunn. He was just an absolute hammer. And here's another one, talking baseball, talking Hall of Fame. If you pick any two players in the Hall of Fame, any of them, anybody you want, Barry Bonds has more MVPs than both of them combined. Just thought that was a cool stat. Barry Bonds collected those things. So that's cool. One more baseball thing. And again, this dates back a little bit because I was, this was from the week before when I was, the Guardians were playing the Brewers and I couldn't watch because I was blacked out. Because I'm in the Brewers, TV region, and the Brewers TV network isn't on YouTube TV. It wasn't before it switched to FanDuel. And it's I deal with this with the Brewers, the Cubs, and the White Sox. And it's so annoying because I get the MLB package, and that should be blackout free. And, you deal with this in the NFL too, but the catch of the NFL is if I'm in the Green Bay Packers TV zone. The games are on Fox or CBS during the day, or they're on, Amazon, which, is annoying, but it's on that. I have that. Or it's on NBC at night, or it's Monday Night Football. I'm going to get them. And obviously this would be different if I was in Cleveland, but maybe not. Maybe I don't get that channel on YouTube TV or something like that. And, then you have to make those choices. And I get it. But, like, I'm not making my TV choices based on, a couple games a year. But if I'm out of market, I buy a team. And they do this in Cleveland where you can buy if you're in the Cleveland market, you can buy a special package that just gives you all the Cleveland games. Just make that a part of the MLB package as a whole so that I can get it and not get blacked out. It's just so ridiculous that, that's not a thing. So there's my bitch about blackouts and how dumb they are. A couple other sports things here. The NFL schedule released, whenever that was, a week or two ago, probably 2 weeks ago now. Completely ridiculous thing. It is so ridiculous. You already know who all your teams are facing. You're just looking for times, the order, what channel it's going to be on. Are you getting a Thursday game, a Monday game, Sunday afternoon, Sunday at noon, whatever it is. That said, I love it. I absolutely love it. I love looking at it and like dissecting the schedule and be like, okay, we got home, away. Ooh, tough road trip here. Tough start. This is our part of the schedule. We got to reel a few wins off. I'm well aware how ridiculous it is that we know exactly who we're playing. You can kind of take a guess. Like, there's no secret that the Chiefs are going to play a lot of primetime games. The Cowboys will probably play a lot of primetime games, regardless of how good they are. The Packers are going to get their couple. They're a brand nationally. But it's still so much fun. I don't know what it is. I know it's a ridiculous thing that they like dedicate a day to it. The leagues start coming a couple days earlier, and then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, we're in it now, baby. Yeah. It's ridiculous, and I love it. I just love it. Also, NFL is going to allow its players to play flag football in the 2028 Olympics. This is apparently an issue for the fella who's the quarterback of the national flag football team. I don't even know it. Daryl Hoosh Doucette, the U.S. flag football quarterback, on NFL players taking Olympic flag football spots. I think it's disrespectful that they just automatically assume that they're able to just join the Olympic team because of the person they are. They didn't help grow this game. They did grow the game. Football is football. Flag football is just an offshoot of it. So they grow football. And they're not just going to take the spots because they assume. They're going to take those spots because they're better than you. Like, you didn't choose to be like, oh, yeah, I love football. Sorry, I got like a hair. Probably a dog hair. It's like stuck on my lip. Where was it? Oh, you didn't just be like, I love football, but I'm going to play flag football because that's my thing. No, you play flag football because you're like, what, 5'6"? Hang on. We got to look this dude up. Daryl Doucette, height and weight. Yeah, you're 5'8", 140. And there's a reason, and some even haven't listened, 5'7". There's a reason why, a Pat Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson are going to take your spot on that team. Because they are significantly better at football than you. Yeah, flag's going to have a little weird quirks about it that maybe you might know a little better right now. Let those guys play it for a couple minutes. You're going to tell me we're not going to send Justin Jefferson out there or Jamar Chase instead of whatever receiver, or Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, whoever you want to put there. But like, I'm just imagining Lamar Jackson in a flag football game with maybe Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase spread out. Yeah, they're not taking your spots because their names are different or bigger. They're taking your spot because they are far superior athletes. That's why. It ain't politics, buddy. It's just the fact that they're flat out better. And that's all there is to it. One other little football note here, another stat and nugget for you. In 2001, the Miami Hurricanes, college football, had their offense never scored a touchdown, they would have gone 8-4. The defense scored 50 touchdowns on the year. Just absolutely incredible. Yeah, just nuts. A couple other things here. It was released that Joe Biden has stage 4 cancer. Terrible to hear. Hopefully he weathers that as best he can. Stage 4 cancers, no joke. Don't wish that upon anybody. Timing of that coming out as he, the book about him that Jake Tapper was releasing about his cognitive decline after Jake Tapper told us forever that he was totally fine, sharp as ever. He's there. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Again, wishing him the best. Indy 500 was this weekend. I watched the last 15 laps. Nobody even tried to pass. Give me NASCAR all day. I'll take NASCAR over Indy 500 or F1 or any of that stuff. Not a big race guy, but if I'm going to watch the last 15 laps of anything, if that Indy race was anything to tell me, they just drove single file and just kind of drafted around on each other. Nobody made a move, and then it ended in caution flag. No thanks. I'll take NASCAR if I'm going to watch the last 15 of a race. I think a guy won the Coca-Cola 500 from dead last this week, 40th pole position. I think I saw first guy to do that since 1969 or something like that. You guys ever in the shower and you hop in and you're like, ooh, my soap's about out. I need a new bar of soap. I don't know if anyone else does this. You guys like to squish them together and then get a little water on it and then start soaping yourself up, and then it kind of combines the two soaps into one. But it's there because you can feel it. I don't know. I do that all the time. All right. Final thing here before we call it a day. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Just saw it. There's going to be spoilers here. I'm not going to get crazy spoilerly, so I don't think I'll completely ruin the movie for you if you listen to this. But if you really want to hold off, here's your heads up. This is the only thing I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to close it out at the end here. So if you want to sign off, now's your chance. If not, here we go. Mission Impossible: The Last Reckoning comes in at a whopping 2:49, I think, runtime. It's a long movie. Could have been tightened up. I will say we could tighten it up a smidge. That said, fantastic. I think it's of the were there 9 Mission Impossible movies now? Let me pull them all up. And just see. I do struggle with these to try and figure out which ones are which, but it was better than Dead Reckoning, so it's for sure above that. It might not be better than Fallout. Fallout was really good. I think it's probably better than Rogue Nation and Ghost Protocol. It's definitely better than 2. One's almost hard to... 1, 2, and 3 are almost different movies than Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, so on and so forth. I think it's the best, maybe not Fallout. That and Fallout are the best of the second half of those. It's Mission Impossible itself is almost a completely different genre of movie, so it's almost even hard to rank that against these. So, just call it. And 3 is pretty good. So, it's in my top 4. Probably my top 3. It's probably Mission Impossible, Fallout, Final Reckoning are a 3 you can kind of monkey with. And again, Mission Impossible itself it's just totally a different thing, even. But this was fun. There was a lot of good plot points to it. The nuclear thing with the entity, that was a whole good backsetting to it. Sometimes as I'm watching some of these Mission Impossible movies, it's a little hard to track what the stakes are, who's the bad guys, why are we doing all this. I felt like this one was an easier plot to track. It made a little bit more sense. I didn't always have to think wait, is that guy good? Is that guy bad? Where are they at? Who's the bad guy? What's his purpose? The actual bad guy, the person, you kind of know what he's about. Oh shoot, what's his name? I've already forgotten. But then the set pieces. There's a couple of points in the movie where I'm you're in the movie theater, and I'm just woo-wee. I don't know how I feel about this. And the sub, when he goes down into the sub, with the key to get the thing, the little box. And you're like, oh, I'm uncomfortable just watching this. The plane sequence, which he was talking about on Pat McAfee, and Cruz is out of his fucking mind. And the dude's up there like hanging off a plane. And he's talking about, he's like, yeah, I'm communicating with hand signals to the guy flying the plane, to the director, Christopher McQuarrie, who's following along in a helicopter, and who've like developed these hand signals to tell us what we need to do. And it's like, oh, I'm so like, I get like physically uncomfortable watching it. But it was incredible. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, we could trim it up just a smidge. But going to the movies, seeing that, saw it in IMAX, the sound, the big ass screen. Like, this is a movie theater movie. And, you know, TC, he saved the movies, man. Like, he made sure Top Gun Maverick came out in theaters. He's had, the 2 Mission Impossible movies here, Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning, come out in movie theaters. They're movie theater movies. Yeah, like, you can watch them at home, too, and they're still fun. But, like, those are things you got to experience in the movies. And, like, going to a movie theater is, big-ass bowl of popcorn like I got. That's the way to do it. And I said to the roommate, I was like, it's too bad that, there was a stretch as I was growing up where, like, more movie theaters were getting built. And you could be like, oh, there's another one coming. And, they're getting nicer. And if you don't live in a big city, we've probably reached the point where there may not be more new movie theaters coming to, because they usually went to the mall areas, and malls don't seem to be a thing. And, so the movie theaters are where they are. And, if they're a little older and a little more beat up, then that's kind of what you got. So that's too bad. But, like, going to the movies is fun, man. Go in, get a popcorn, watch the trailers, see what's coming next. Like, that's a good time. And I had a blast at Final Reckoning. I highly recommend it. If you're a Tom Cruise fan at all, I definitely recommend it. If you liked any of the Mission Impossibles, I think you'll really like this one. If you just like big, badass movies with a lot of shit happening, go do it. Like, it was a lot of fun. So that's what I gotta say. 4.5 stars, probably. Not my A plus tier movies of all time, but definitely a solid B plus A minus range. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, one of my top 3-ish Mission Impossible movies from the whole series. That's all I got. Let's go wrap this thing up. Closing time, everybody. Just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for the watches. Thank you for the listens. I appreciate that. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. Rate, review, everything. Please do all that. Don't forget to check out MJ on the Full Range podcast. You can find that on Spotify and on the Ole Walls House YouTube channel. We'll be back next week. We got the Memorial. We got NBA and NHL playoffs. We're going to be close to the conference finals on those. Getting ready for the U.S. Open just around the corner. We'll probably be talking about that, some Ryder Cup stuff, the guards, and then whatever else, comes to my my little mind here that I can think of. So, till next week, peace.